The London-bound Blue Express train thundered through the night, its wheels clicking rhythmically against the tracks. In first-class compartment number 4, Mrs. Eleanor Richardson sat alone, her fingers nervously playing with the stunning sapphire necklace around her neck. The famous Blue Star sapphire was worth a fortune, and she was taking it to London for valuation. As the train entered a long tunnel, the lights in her compartment flickered and went out. When they came back on 30 seconds later, Mrs. Richardson was slumped in her seat and the necklace was gone. Detective Inspector James Porter arrived at the next station where the train had made an emergency stop. He was a tall man with sharp grey eyes and a reputation for solving impossible cases. The victim was unconscious but alive, found to have been drugged with chloroform. "Tell me about all the passengers in this car," Porter demanded from the conductor. "There were only 4 other passengers in this first-class car," the conductor explained. "Mr. Thompson, a businessman in compartment 1, Miss Watson, a schoolteacher in compartment 2, Dr. Williams, a retired doctor in compartment 3, and Mr. Harrison, a jewelry dealer in compartment 5. Porter interviewed each passenger carefully. Mr. Thompson claimed he had been reading the evening newspaper the entire time. Miss Watson said she had been grading papers. Dr. Williams mentioned he had been sleeping with his door locked, and Mr. Harrison insisted he had been cataloguing his jewelry collection. The detective examined Mrs. Richardson's compartment meticulously. He noticed 3 important details: a faint chemical smell, a small scuff mark on the door's handle, and a single thread of dark blue fabric caught in the door hinge. Porter then walked through the entire car, observing each passenger carefully. Mr. Thompson wore a brown suit, Miss Watson a grey dress, Dr. Williams a black coat, and Mr. Harrison a dark blue suit. The detective also noted that Mr. Harrison's jewelry case contained an unusual number of empty slots, and his hands showed traces of chemical stains. When Porter asked about them, Harrison claimed they were from cleaning his jewelry. "I believe we've found our thief," Porter announced to the police sergeant who had joined him. "It's Mr. Harrison, the jewelry dealer. But how can you be so sure?" the sergeant asked, puzzled. Porter explained his reasoning. First, the chemical smell in Mrs. Richardson's compartment matched the stains on Harrison's hands, clearly chloroform, not jewelry cleaner. Second, the blue thread from his suit was caught in the victim's door, proving he had entered her compartment. Third, those empty slots in his jewelry case are new perfect for hiding a recently stolen necklace. But what about the timing? The sergeant questioned. How could he have done it during those few seconds in the tunnel? Harrison had planned this carefully, Porter explained. He knew the tunnel was coming and had prepared everything in advance. When the lights went out, he quickly moved from his compartment to Mrs. Richardson's, using the darkness as cover. He drugged her with chloroform, took the necklace, and returned to his compartment before the lights came back on. The movement of the train covered any sounds he made. When the police searched Harrison's compartment thoroughly, they found the Blue Star sapphire necklace hidden in a secret compartment of his jewelry case. Further investigation revealed that Harrison was actually Thomas Blake, a notorious jewelry thief wanted in 3 countries. Mrs. Richardson recovered fully and was relieved to have her precious necklace back. As she thanked Detective Porter, she asked, "What made you first suspect Harrison?" Porter smiled slightly. "It was the scuff mark on your door handle. It was fresh and showed someone had opened it in a hurry. Since it was on the outside, it had to be someone from another compartment. Once I noticed the blue thread and the chemical smell, everything fell into place." The case of the Blue Train mystery made headlines across England, adding another successful solution to Detective Porter's impressive record. The Blue Star sapphire was safely delivered to London, and Thomas Blake finally faced justice for his crimes. As Porter filed his final report on the case, he reflected that even the most carefully planned crimes often leave behind small clues: a thread, a scuff mark, a chemical stain. In the end, It was these tiny details that brought down the notorious jewel thief on the blue train. The sergeant who had worked with him on the case later asked Porter if he had ever doubted his conclusion. The detective shook his head and replied, "In detective work, Sergeant, it's not about guessing or jumping to conclusions. It's about observation, deduction, and paying attention to the small details that criminals always leave behind. That's what makes the difference between a mystery and a solution." And so concluded another case in Detective Inspector Porter's growing collection of solved mysteries, proving once again that on his watch, crime never pays, not even on the famous blue train.